Okay, time for a new video. Welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new. This is yet another Eurovision 2025 related video here on my channel, and another instalment in my sporadic series titled What We Know So Far, where I go through pretty much everything we as Eurovision fans know so far about the upcoming edition of the ESC, which as we all know will take place this May in Basel, Switzerland. As always, you're welcome to let me know your thoughts on anything I discuss in today's video by leaving a comment down below, and as always there are links in the description to my other social media pages, check them out if you so wish. If you didn't see my most recent video where I reacted to snippets of the songs in contention for Armenia, I did make a point at the start of that video regarding my feelings towards this Eurovision season so far, and I also posted this on my community page, according to this, 21 hours ago. I'm going to read it to you now. As I touch upon in a video I am uploading as I type, my enjoyment of Eurovision this season has not been very high. Many of my favourites haven't fared too well, and I have been very disappointed with the quality on offer in many national finals. As such, I haven't been listening to some tracks as soon as I usually would, and my motivation to film and talk about lineups and or tracks I'm not enjoying that much has suffered, which probably doesn't make for great viewing for you. Long story short, you won't really notice any changes with my content, though I may end up being harsher and more tired, though not downright rude, than usual, and should I continue to be dissatisfied with the way things are shaping up, I may reduce my uploads. I will be taking even more of a step back from Eurovision-related matters away from YouTube anyway. Certainly I need to devote a lot of time to other things at the moment. That is absolutely true. I've just been very disappointed with the quality that's been coming our way, and some of the decisions in some national finals I have been quite surprised by. I also feel as though I am liking things that most other Eurovision fans aren't. This happens every year, so it doesn't really bother me, but I feel as though I'm sort of out of the loop with what's hot at the moment, shall we say. And hopefully the internal selections will save the day. And I don't want to come across as some sort of whiny Eurovision fan who's doing the typical, oh, it's shaping up to be a poor Eurovision year. I don't want to come across as that sort of person at all. But, you know, for me personally, this is shaping up to be a very indifferent year. There's so few songs that I'm really enjoying. There's so few songs that I'm really listening to a lot and revisiting. There's so many national finals that I'm not really clued up about at all, and the motivation to really be clued up about them isn't there, even in comparison to just last year. So yeah, the motivation's not terribly high at the moment. There's a few things I'm excited for moving forwards, and I will mention them in this video, but generally things are a bit stinky at the moment. But let's move on, shall we? I have information in front of me to make sure I don't forget anything too important. Remarkably, it's been nearly a month since I filmed a What We Know So Far video. Loads of other people film videos like this. I certainly wasn't the first to do so, so please don't think I'm copying anybody by filming this video. We know the dates of the competition, we know where it's taking place, we know the presenters, Hazel Brugger, Sandra Studer, who represented Switzerland in 1991, and Michelle Hunziker. We know that 37 countries are involved. We know Montenegro are back, but Moldova have withdrawn, and that was a very sort of last-minute thing because they had a national final lineup ready to go, and then they said, actually, the quality's not that great. Goodbye for now. We also know the semi-final allocation draw that took place at the end of January, so I'm going to go through the countries as they are listed in front of me now. Do feel free to let me know your thoughts about national finals and what have you moving forwards. Semi-final 1 is going to take place on Tuesday the 13th of May. 15 countries. It is harder to not qualify, in all honesty, unless your song is genuinely pretty darn poor. You probably are in with a fairly good shot of going through. They'll all vote alongside 3 of the automatic qualifiers, Italy, Spain and Switzerland, and a rest of the world vote, and at some point that will be crucial. So in the first half, we have Estonia, Iceland, Poland, Portugal, Slovenia, Sweden and Ukraine. Now obviously we are not even close to having the full lineup, but if you'd like to see a purely just for fun semi-finals running orders prediction, you can go onto my Twitter page because I posted it recently, link in the description as always. So Estonia's Eesti Laul is on February the 15th. It's coming up in just a few days time. We had the online wildcard which was won by Marta Lotte, which was very surprising. And we've known the grand final lineup for ages. The songs have been out for weeks and weeks and weeks, and there are 16 songs involved. There's a jury vote and a public vote. The top 3 go through to a super final where it will be a pure public vote determining Estonia's representative in Basel. The lineup includes some fine songs. Tomorrow Never Comes by Ant. He's opening, so you could say that's a bit damaging. I don't really know. Kulm by Anne Marlen should absolutely be in contention. We also have the 2002 representative Anna Salena with Love Me Low. We have Minimal Wind with Armageddon. That's the one I'm rooting for, but I fully expect it to be shafted. We also have Ma Etea Sind by Andrei Zevekin featuring Carita, which is a bit of a loud, shouty, somewhat aggressive type track, but a lot of people are really enjoying it, and I don't mind it. However, we all know it's probably going to be Tommy Cash with Espresso Macchiato. Now, Tommy Cash is such a big star. He is 33 from Tallinn. He's famous outside of Estonia. He's arguably their most known male musician. So him being at Eurovision would be a big deal. And he would definitely get points from, neighbouring Finland, for example. And I'm sure from many other countries as well. The song is fine. A lot will depend on the staging. And I really don't know how this is going to be staged. Now, I might not be the only one who thinks this, but I think Tommy Cash is being a little bit cocky about his chances. Now, I don't blame him because he's almost certainly winning. The Estonian public are just going to go big for him and his song. But there's something quite unappealing about being very, very confident that you've already won your country's national selection. Maybe it's just me who thinks this, I don't know. Anyway, as much as I enjoy Eesti Laul generally, I'm not really fussed about it this year because it looks as though it's going to be a very, very comfortable win for one particular artist. It would be far more interesting if Estonia sent a song like Minimal Wind. I think looking at the lineup for Eurovision 2025 thus far, there is absolutely a spot for a song as calm and wonderful as Armageddon. But I don't trust Estonians one bit. I don't trust anybody one bit when it comes to Eurovision voting, to be honest with you. So I am expecting Armageddon to fall short, might win the jury vote, but the public won't be on board enough. I'm expecting Tommy Cash to win comfortably. As for Iceland, well, I'm not happy with Iceland. Söngvakeppnin consists of 3 shows, one of which has already happened. The finals on February the 22nd. The format's changed slightly, as I'm sure you're aware. 5 songs in each heat. 3 go through from each heat, making 6 in the final. And in the final, there is no super final. It is jury, international jury, and public voting determining Iceland's representative. Semi-final 1, 5 acts, as I just said. Birgo, the fan favourite, I would say, my favourite, out. What are you doing? What are you watching? What are you listening to? Very, very disappointing. Instead, Stebby Jack, August and Vibe are through, and I fully expect Vibe with Roa to win Söngvakeppnin, barring some sort of very surprising upset indeed. In the second heat, we have Tina with Thrau and Julian Disa with Elder. Definitely those 2 songs should be cruising through, but based on semi-final 1, who the hell knows what Iceland are really in the mood for. That's the situation there. As for Poland, their national final is on Valentine's Day, February the 14th, in a few days' time. We've known the lineup for a while. Somebody withdrew. That was Sarah James, who did well at Junior Eurovision a few years ago. She was replaced by Janusz Radek with In Cosmic Mist, which in my opinion has no chance of victory whatsoever. We've also had a very dodgy, last-minute wild card entry thrown into the mix, and to be honest, it's not a bad track. Immortal by Teo. Now, why this has been added, I don't really know. Is this guy seriously in with a shot of victory? Possibly. I believe the winner is decided by pure public voting. I am expecting the 1995 representative Justyna Stechkowska with Gaia to win, possibly very comfortably indeed. Do I like that song? It's okay. It's not my favourite though. My favourite is actually Dominic Dudek with Hold the Light. That's a very credible effort indeed. I don't think this is the strongest batch. Tempo by Krust is very different. That definitely would stand out at Eurovision, but I think would be quite off-putting to a lot of neutral first-time listeners. We've also got Lusterka by Svada and Nikšos, which is a little bit repetitive, and I do think it runs out of steam relatively quickly. But actually, I would not be mad if Poland go for that one. So, yeah, I'd be happy with that choice. I think definitely that song will finish in the top 3 of this national final, but I think it's more than likely going to be Justina representing Poland 30 years after she last did. As for Portugal, well, FDC, Festival de Canção, gets going on February the 22nd, 3 shows, the finals on March the 8th. We have the semi-final allocation as well. The favourite arguably is now Josh with Tristesha. I do need to revisit these songs, which will surely happen at some point. However, Henke, holy moly, wouldn't that stand out an absolute mile at Eurovision? Her song is called I Wanna Destroy You. Will Portugal send it? I don't trust them. As such, I am saying it's going to be Josh for the time being. The lineup's not bad, in all honesty. This is one of few national finals where I think the quality is actually somewhat satisfying. In the semi-finals, it'll be jury and public voting, and then in the final, it is 7 regional juries, as usual, and public voting. And should there be a tie, the public vote takes precedence. We've got Capital de Bulgaria with Lisboa. That's a nice song. We've got Fernando Daniel with Medo. That's quite nice. Can't really remember any of the other songs at the moment. But it's not a bad lineup at all. And FDC is a national final that I do pay a reasonable amount of attention to, ever since Portugal hosted on home soil, obviously, in 2018. I have been paying a bit more attention to FDC, and the quality is generally not too bad. You can really find some lovely underrated gems. Anyway, Slovenia. Jesus Christ. EMA returned for the first time in a few years, and to absolutely no surprise whatsoever, it's going to be How Much Time Do We Have Left by Klemen representing Slovenia this year. A lot of people are saying this is dead on arrival, and I'm inclined to agree. It's really not that bad a song. It was my second favourite behind July Jones in EMA this year. Klemen is 39. He's done a lot of parody work in the past. He's done a lot of TV presenting. He's worked as a presenter on EMA in the past as well. The first round of voting, 12 songs, and it was pure jury voting. What the hell is that all about? Klemen came on top with July Jones 1 point behind. Astrid and the Scandals were third. And then in the super final, Klemen won with 8,895 votes to July Jones's 4,400. Now, without wanting to come across as too harsh, Slovenia absolutely shot themselves in the foot by doing this, because it's quite clear to me that July Jones would have given Slovenia a far more stronger opportunity to qualify for the final this year. It would have been a 3rd Eurovision final in a row. Klemen might still do it, but I'm doubting it already. So few Eurovision fans are really responding warmly to this. I'm just taking a look here. William Lee Adams is getting every damn where this Eurovision season. I don't mind him, but there are other international Eurovision influencers. Alicia Michelle was also part of the international... Who did these Eurovision influencers vote for? July Jones. Okay. Oh, maybe they had some sense in terms of the voting then. But yeah, that was the situation with Slovenia. A very odd voting process to begin with, and the song that's won might be a bit DOA. And let's not forget, there's no jury vote in the semi-final. So will the public really respond warmly to this one? I'm not sure they will. As for Sweden, oh boy, Melfest is obviously underway. We've had 2 shows. There's 4 more to go, including that strange second chance round thing at the end of Heat 5 on March the 1st. The finals in Stockholm as usual. Edvin Turnblom and Keo are the presenters. And the next show is on February the 15th in Västerås. We've had the 2 heats of 6 songs each thus far. In Heat 1 in Luleå, John Lundvik went through, and then Maya Ivarsson went through with him, with Meira Omar going through to the second chance round thingamajig, and a lot of people are loving that one. It's okay. It's okay. In Heat 2, which I'll talk about more in a video later this week, Erik Segerstedt won it ahead of Clara Hammerström, which was a huge surprise. I think we can already say Clara's probably not winning Melfest this year. And then Khalifa with Salute has gone through to the second chance round. In all honesty, it should have been Nomi Tales, but this is Sweden we're talking about. Heat 3 has Malu Pritz. I'm really excited to hear her song. And we've also got Annika Vicky Helder, who made the final last year, involved in Heat 3 as well. But of course, Måns Zelmerlöw is coming up soon, and you know that he's going to be absolutely full throttle in it to win it. And then in Heat 5, we have Arvingana, for the hell of it, and Scarlet, who definitely are probably going to be serious contenders. But that's the situation with Sweden. We know they've only got to turn up, and they're probably going to finish in the top 10. The same can be said for Ukraine. Vidbir took place a few days ago at the time of this recording. My favourite was Melody, and surprisingly they finished second, so I am quite chuffed about that. We did have the wildcard round in mid-January, which was won by Finka. That's a song that grew on me before Vidbir took place. Third was Masha Kondratenko. My favourite was Melody, as I just said, so I'm not too disheartened by the result. However, Zifferblatt with Bird of Prey, I just can't really get into that song. I expected them to win. They were the runners-up in Vidbir a year ago. It's a very beautiful track, but I don't think it's one of Ukraine's best. I don't think it's one of Ukraine's most competitive. That's the best way to put it. I don't think this is a super competitive song, but some people are saying Ukraine aren't qualifying, and I can only assume that they are having some sort of stroke when they say that, because this is Ukraine we're talking about. They always qualify. They've only got to turn up and they are in the final. And let's not forget that they do have a bit of a diaspora vote, which can definitely play a part in their chances moving forwards. This song's going to do all right for itself. It's a grower, but it's not my favourite by any stretch of the imagination. As for the second half of semi-final 1, Albania, people are gushing over this song like you wouldn't believe. It's Shkodra Elektronika with Sherm, which won Fix 63 just before Christmas last year. It won the jury vote, it was second in the online vote, and won the SMS vote comfortably, and therefore finished ahead of Elvana Jata in Fic just before Christmas last year. It's a very nice song. It's obviously quite different. It feels quite mystical and unusual and cool. However, I don't think it's winning Eurovision at all. I could be wrong, but I'm not getting that feeling whatsoever. I've never had that feeling. And also, I'm just thinking about first-time listeners. Look at what happened with Norway last year. It was a bit different, ignored pretty much entirely. I'm looking at Spain 2023, public didn't go big for that, it was a bit different. France 2022, same deal there. It seems to me as though every time a country tries to do something a little bit out of the ordinary or something a little bit more traditional, people blank it. And I'm not saying that's going to happen with with Albania this time around, but you never know. I do have concerns that this song, I don't think it's going to flop, but I'm not sure it's going to do as well as people think it will. So I'm on the fence about it, but it's a perfectly fine track. As for Azerbaijan, we know the artist, but nobody's talking about this. It's Mama Gamma, an all-male group who've been making music for a few years now. They were announced recently. The song will be announced later this month. As for Belgium, yeah, favourites to win, I don't think so. Their national final Euro song took place on February the 1st. It was won very, very convincingly by Red Sebastian with Strobe Lights, winning the jury vote by a mile, winning the public vote by a mile. Lees was second and Mentissa was third. Strobe Lights is a song that I actually don't know terribly well. It's quite loud and frantic, and vocally it's very high-pitched at times. Definitely the staging is going to help matters here. I don't think it was the strongest choice for Belgium. It was one of the strongest, but my favourite was Le Manu, who finished last. Thanks a bunch. Yeah, I don't see Belgium winning this year's contest whatsoever. I think the Belgian media, based on what I was reading, which wasn't a great deal, but it felt to me as though the Belgian media were absolutely pushing for this song to be the winner. I think perhaps even the media now in Belgium are convinced that this is winning material. it ain't. So they need to calm down a little bit. But this is probably going to do well at Eurovision. It's obviously going to stand out. It's going to be quite the stage show. Vocally, I think he's obviously doing some impressive things. But yeah, I think it's a bit overhyped. And actually, since he won Eurosong, I think any attention towards Belgium has definitely died down. As for Croatia, Dora gets going fairly soon. The final is on March the 2nd. I've no idea who's going to win this. It's between a few. We have Ivan with Monopol. That would be great at Eurovision, so Croatia probably won't pick it. We've got Marko Bošnjak with Poison Cake. Not a huge lover of that one, which means Croatia will probably pick it. We've got Magazine, been at Eurovision before. Coincidentally, 30 years ago, at the same time, Justina sang for Poland. Their song Ah... I would say has had a fairly mixed response so far. It's not bad. Might win. We've also got Nipple People with Znak. And we've also got Ogenge with Die Die. And I think that one is in with a very serious shot of winning. But we'll find out what happens moving forwards. As for Cyprus, Theo Evan was announced ages ago, September the 2nd. The songwriting team, it's fairly Nordic. Elsie Bay is one of the songwriters. So... you know, it's very disappointing that they're not really doing things with Cypriot songwriters, but there we are. Theo Evan is from Cyprus. He's 27, released a couple of singles in the past. The song will be announced in due course. As for the Netherlands, now here's a country I am excited about. Claude was announced as the Dutch representative just before Christmas last year. He's from DR Congo. He was on The Voice Kids in the Netherlands. He's 21. He's got a cracking voice. And I have a feeling his song is going to be definitely one to keep an eye out for. As for Norway, MGP is pretty darn shite this year. February the 15th for the final. It is so disappointing. No idea who's going to win this. Bobby Sox are back 40 years after they won Eurovision. Their song's called Joyful. It's fine. But let's not just send them for nostalgic purposes. We've also got Ladybug, who might win. Nataline, who might win. That's probably the best choice here. Nora Jabri, I'm actually quite disappointed with her song. She was in MGP many years ago. Tona Damley might win. She's been involved in the past. She was the runner-up to Alexander Rybak all those years ago. Wigwam are back 20 years after they did Eurovision. Human Fire, yeah, that might end up being one of my favourites. Kyle Alessandro's getting a reasonable amount of love. That song is pretty darn bang average. Pretty darn bang average if you ask me. But I will be revisiting these songs soon, and maybe my opinions will change for the better. I've no idea who's winning. The quality is not terribly good. And as for San Marino, if you're following San Marino Song Contest 2025... good on you, because it is the most long-winded, ridiculous thing imaginable. I mean, I'm looking to see if there's any names I recognise. Atle Pettersson, who did well in MGP the other year, is involved. Bessa, who represented Albania last year, is involved. But that's about it. Not really. Alexis Strum, English. Not terribly familiar with your work, I'm afraid. Anybody else? Carson Koma. Oh yeah, this is the Hungarian band. I saw something about them recently. Oh well, it's worth keeping an eye on them. But everybody else I'm not terribly familiar with. We've got Il Solito Dandy, The Unknown Voices, Leon the Singer, Delma and Mary Wild, Space Particles, Low Brano, Electro Karma, Macclesfield, The Rumpled. Oh, the delights are never ending in San Marino over the next couple of weeks. Anyway, that's semi-final 1. Semi-final 2, Thursday the 15th of May, 16 countries involved. They'll all vote alongside France, Germany and the UK and the rest of the world. In the first half, we have Armenia. They're having a national final. The songs are out. Depi Efratasil takes place in a few days' time, February the 16th. The favourite is probably Athena Manoukian with Da Queen Nation. But we've also got Prayer by Flora Bichakyan. We've got Anahita Damyan, a former junior Eurovision representative with Tiny Little Boo, that might do very well. And Survivor by Park, co-written by the man himself, Thomas Gerson, wangling his way in like you wouldn't believe. It's probably going to be one of those songs that I've just mentioned coming out on top. The quality is not too bad. As for Australia, we know nothing. It's an internal selection. That's about as far as it goes. Austria are represented by Johannes Pietsch, or Pietsch. JJ is 23, from Vienna. He is part of the Vienna State Opera. He's got quite the voice, and I'm expecting something clearly inspired by the Code for Austria this year. As for Greece, their national final, Ethnikos Telikos 2025, took place on January the 30th. It was won by Klavdia, beautiful woman in glasses. Her song is called Asteromata. It's very nice. I think it could do well in the jury vote in the final because I expect Greece to qualify. Evangelia was second, finishing second in the televote, winning the international jury vote second with the Greek jury. Barbs was third, Dynamis were fourth, and Zanavazan was fifth. Not a bad batch. My favourite was Barbs. I think that's one of the best songs of the Eurovision season so far, so naturally it didn't win. As for Ireland, oh boy. Eurosong 2025 took place on February the 7th. It was won by Emmy, who's tried to represent Norway in the past. She's been at MGP Junior in the past. Like a Party is the name of the song. It won the public vote. It won the national jury vote for inexplicable reasons and finished second in the international jury vote. Was this the best choice? Not in my opinion. Bobby Arlo was right there with Power Play. I believe she was somewhat unwell, and even saying that, I think there was great potential. With Like a Party, it's fun for 3 minutes, but any novelty I think this song has wears off pretty quickly. I think should it make the final, the juries will perhaps blank it somewhat. It's okay. It was my third favourite, but I'm not loving it. Samantha Mumba somehow finished second, despite having a song that I could listen to 100 times and still not tell you the melody of. So I don't know what happened there. Agi was last. I didn't mind that. What a shame. We move on. Latvia. Well, I was rooting for the water, but I knew this wasn't going to happen. Supernova 2025, the final of which was on February the 8th. There was a semi-final before that where several songs were eliminated. The winner was Tautumetas with 18 points. Second was Emilia with 18 points. Chitizeni were third with 18 points. But because the public vote took precedence, Tautumetas are representing Latvia with a song fully in Latvian, which is very, very pleasing. This is very folksy, very otherworldly. It's a very, very credible effort. However, should this make the final, I do wonder again, will first-time listeners somewhat blank this? It's entirely possible. The Ludwig won the public vote, but was only 5th in the jury vote. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He was 6th in the jury vote. My apologies. So that's what did it. That's what did it. I'm surprised the juries weren't on board with it a bit more. Chris Noah was 5th. The Water was 6th. And Tepat were last, despite the fact a lot of people really enjoyed that one. But there we go. A fine winner, can't really complain, and it's definitely going to be a breath of fresh air in that second semi-final. As for Lithuania, the final of Eurovision.lt 2025 is on February the 15th. We've had loads of heats where only 2 songs have progressed from each show based on jury and public voting. We have 2 wildcards. Now, this is going to be very, very interesting. We have the running order as well. Black Biceps, one of the wildcard acts, won the public vote in their heat very comfortably, but didn't go through, which was controversial. Now they're back. That could win, but there would be uproar if it won, because the favourite by a mile is Catharsis with Tavo Akis, which I'm surely mispronouncing. There's a song that I like, but I want to like more. All-male group, I believe they're all guys, and it reminds me of Sudden Lights for Latvia 2 years ago, ever so slightly. We all know what happened there, didn't qualify. But this is a very credible effort. We've also got Petunia, she should do well. Anyanya might make the super final as well. The top 3 go through to a pure public vote at the end of Eurovision.lt this weekend. I wouldn't say the lineup is really strong. But there's definitely one or two songs there that stand out from the others. Should Black Biceps win, nobody should be surprised, and I think it would stand out at Eurovision. We move on. Montenegro. Nina Zizic is back. Dobrodošli, the name of the song. Of course, she didn't win the Montenegro national final. Neo Noen did, but then there was controversy that they'd performed their song live previously. So Nina Zizic, the runner-up, is going to Eurovision instead for a second time. It's a fine ballad, but I don't see it qualifying. Moving into the second half of semi-final 2, Czechia, Adonis. He's been around for quite some time. He's 29. He's actually from Slovakia. He's performed here, there and everywhere. And he is influenced by artists including Dua Lipa, London Grammar and Lorde. Very nice. Lives in Prague. Released 3 albums. And his song is called Kiss Kiss Goodbye. And he performed an acoustic version of it at Malta's national final for some reason. I think the semi-final. Very bizarre. Anyway, I've heard it, and it sounds very promising. Czechia mean business. As for Denmark, oh boy. The DMGP 2025 songs are out. The final's on March the 1st. I don't know who the favourite is really. We have the running order. It's between these last 2 songs, I would say. Sissal with Hallucination, which is co-written by Melanie Weber. We know about her, of course. And Andreas Kruse with Hear My Prayer. It's a pretty average lineup. It's not bad, but it's also not really exciting anybody. Sissal should win. It's not the most original track, but I think it's the one that could stand out the most at Eurovision. We'll wait and see what Denmark do. Of course, no final this decade yet. As for Finland, no surprises here with UMK, which took place on February the 8th in Tampere. Erika Wickman was second in the jury vote, but won the public vote somewhat comfortably, and she is flying the flag for the Finns in Basel this May with Ich Komme. Now, I have to be honest with you, I thought this performance was great. Why? Because it wasn't what it could have been. Super sexual, riddled with innuendos, topless guys, baby oil, all of this crap. If it had come across that way, fine. But I'm so glad it was just her. Total control, owning the performance. This is what you've got to do. I say it all the time at Eurovision. It's a Eurovision-ready performance. Does anything need to change? Not really. And then she's on that thing that's floating up in the air and sparks come out. It's all fairly saucy stuff, I guess, but it's not over the top, which is great. I thought it was a really strong performance. And Erika Wickman, who was born on February the 20th, 1993, so she is slightly younger than me, and is from Tampere. Obviously, she was the runner-up in UMK several years ago with Cicciolina. She wouldn't have gone to Eurovision anyway because the contest was cancelled. Yeah, Goldilocks was second, that's very impressive. Vivi was third. Nia River was fifth, which is a bit of a shame because Nightmares was arguably my favourite coming into this. I'm just looking at the international jury voting. Tommy Cash, not even at Eurovision yet, but there he was, giving the Estonian jury points. Yeah, Ich Komme. Don't know how the juries will respond to it in May because this is definitely qualifying and possibly closing semi-final 2. But the public will be on board with it. And if you ask me, this is by a mile the song that is most likely to win the contest at the moment. As for Georgia, we know nothing. As for Israel, we know the singer. It's Yuval Raphael, and there's nothing else really to say about that. She won the selection process, which goes on for many, many weeks in Israel. The song's out on March the 9th. As for Luxembourg, their national final took place on January the 25th. It was won by Laura Thorne with La Poupée Monte le Son. Very playful. I don't think much needs to change for Eurovision at all. I thought she sounded fine. She did not win the public vote. 0.5 did. Okay, they were last with the jury, so definitely a difference of opinion there. Anyway, 184 points. Yeah, I like this. It's catchy. It's harmless fun. Some people have been very critical about it. Watch this do quite well, is all I can say. I can really see this charming people, neutral viewers. It might do better than we all expect. Who knows? As for Malta, oh dear me. MESC took place on February the 8th. There were 2 semi-finals in the days before that. It was between, really, Christy Spiteri, who ended up second, Cantera, my favourite, who finished third. Victoria was in with a shot. She finished fourth. And Dario Betsina and Shepi Imuni were coming up on the rails as well. That was a replacement act. They finished sixth in the end. But the winner was Mirjana Conte with Kant. and you've got to be careful how you say that. It means singing. And she was second in the jury vote, won the public vote by a somewhat narrow margin. I haven't seen the full performance of this, but what I've seen is enough. This, to me, is the very definition of a hot mess. I can't help feeling people voted for this because it sounds like she's swearing. And it's a bit of a meme song. Was it the best choice? Honestly, I don't think it was. But I think a lot of people are really enjoying it. It's obviously fairly fun, I guess. It's not a bad track, but I am surprised Malta picked it, in all honesty. Christy Spiteri was right there. Do I think Malta will qualify for the final this year? I don't know. Possibly, but in the final, again, public might be somewhat on board with it, and they're not usually on board with Malta, let's not forget. The juries, though, can't imagine they'll really go big for it. But we wait and see. As for Serbia, their national final gets going fairly soon. The final's on March the 1st, all 3 shows in Belgrade. There's 30 acts involved, 16 will be in the final, jury and public voting. Don't really know who my favourite is. Bojana and David with Šesto Čulo, that's pretty good. Harem Girls might win, but I was disappointed by that one. Mimi Mercedes is the one to beat with Turbo Shurka. She's a rapper, 32, born November 1992, released a couple of albums, and her stage name comes from an incident in which she was hit by a Mercedes-Benz car as a child, but afterwards confessed that it was a joke. Okay, fair enough. Anyway, she's a pretty big star. She's the one to beat. As for the automatic finalists, we have France. Oh boy, now I am damn excited about this one because it's Luan, whose real name is Anne, and she's 28, born in November 1996. She's great. She's a big star. She was on The Voice in France, and she's had a whole bunch of singles and albums, and oh yeah, every single one of her albums has done well in France. She's also had success to an extent in Belgium. She's had success in Switzerland, and Avenir, that went platinum in Germany. That was in 2014, admittedly. Secret, that did quite well in 2022. Yeah, she's got a lovely voice, and I'm really excited about her song, which is going to premiere during the half-time period of a rugby match in the Six Nations on March the 15th at the Stade de France. It is the Stade de France, isn't it? Or is it the other one? It's one of the two in Paris. Anyway, I'm really excited for it. As for Germany, Shite Show, their national final. It all gets going on February the 14th. But the artists are performing one of their old songs or a cover song. So not the song that they'll have at Eurovision necessarily. I don't really know what the hell's happening. There's a whole bunch of artists involved. Feuerschwanz must be one of the favourites here. They are a medieval metal group. Imagine that at Eurovision, would stand out a mile. From Fall to Spring, they're involved. We've also got the likes of Leonora, not the one who represented Denmark the other year, Cosby. We've also got Benjamin Bratz, Noah Levi, Moss Kenner. Yeah, there's definitely some very interesting names. I did a bit of research off camera last week. And Cloudy June, that's another serious contender right there, I would say. It's not bad, but obviously the songs have to be top quality. It's a bit of a convoluted process, but it gets going fairly soon. As for Italy, Sanremo starts tomorrow. The lineup is absolutely sensational. We don't need to worry about it, because Italy know what the hell they're doing. Quality left, right and centre. Look at this. Elodie, Fedez, Francesca Michelin, Francesco Gabbani, Giorgia, Irama, The Colours, Massimo Ranieri, for crying out loud, Rose Villain, Sarah Toscano might do very well, Willie Peyote is back, Simone Cristici is back. My goodness me, quality everywhere you damn well look. The winner will be determined in about 4 years' time. It says here February the 15th, and there's a whole bunch of other presenters as well. It just goes on and on and on and on, but the quality is going to be very high. Francesco Gabbani, I don't know if we've had the press reports yet on the songs, because usually we get them. But I would say Gabbani with Viva la Vita might be the one to beat. As for Spain, a lot of people didn't like the result. I did. This is my Eurovision 2025 winner so far. Benidorm Fest took place February the 1st, that was the final, 2 semi-finals in the days before that. Melody came out on top, winning the public vote and finishing 3rd in the expert jury vote. So Esa Diva is the Spanish entry this year. It's a bit typical in a sense, it's not really doing anything incredible. Melody is a very experienced performer. She was a bit of a child star, and now she's getting her chance at Eurovision finally because she was involved in the Spanish national final years ago and didn't win. Daniela Blasco was second, Jay Cabello was third. Yeah, I mean, she performs it well. She's really going for it. Great gusto, great determination. If that comes through on the Eurovision stage in a few months' time, I don't think Spain are going to finish last. I'm not expecting this to do incredibly well, just because people aren't really responding to it warmly, but first-time listeners, they might really enjoy it for what it is. So Spain, yeah, they've got at least one supporter. But I'm so annoyed because Thomas Dam Gerson has even written this. The man cannot stay away. As for Switzerland, who knows what they've got planned, but I'm sure it's going to be very good. And the UK, shite show from the BBC. They're so slow and useless at interacting with fans and what have you at this time of year. I think so. It's likely to be Remember Monday, a three-piece girl group who've not had huge success here in the UK so far. I think it's fair to say. There's a few other rumoured names. I've posted stuff about this in the past, but it looks as though it is going to be the group I just mentioned, and we're just waiting for the official announcement from the BBC at some point soon. And if it is that girl group, it will be the most underwhelming announcement imaginable. Anyway, what a ramble from me. I am so sorry for rambling big time and probably forgetting a whole bunch of things as well. Apologies if I was too harsh. But let me know your thoughts on what we have so far and what is coming up soon. Until next time, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and bye for now.